This episode of the Nerd Corporation podcast may contain spoilers and explicit language. Listener discretion is advised.
Hey, it's Mike Zeck, designer of the Black Suit Spider-Man, and you're listening to the Nerd Corporation podcast.
Welcome to the Nerd Corporation.
What up, everybody? It's Thursday, and you know what that means.
Time to give him the old dick twist.
The old dick twist!
Twist his dick.
Oh my god! This is a UFC fight.
I object.
No. It's podcast day.
I was so sure I was right.
No, not
I definitely thought we were twisting dicks.
Damn.
no dick twisting. Sorry.
Yeah, we saved that for D&D.
Right? Welcome to episode 62, the one with Gran Turismo. We're going to be talking about the PlayStation 1. It is PlayStation month for the Nerd Corporation, so...
Only for us, though.
Oh, no one else gets it.
None for you.
It's ours.
Cocksuckers.
Cocksuckers.
Yeah,
You fucking
We're gonna turn North Korea into an island.
Think you can participate?
Gonna go in the fucking dock. Stay black.
Stay black.
I'll stay away from that one.
Yeah. Let's get on with the nerd news.
I came across a juicy tidbit. Andy Serkis is going to direct the Venom
Yes.
sequel.
How cool is that?
Yeah, I'm excited for that one.
I mean, he hasn't done a whole lot of directing up till now, right?
I don't
Like,
I didn't think that.
I didn't think he did
directed
anything.
he's had a few things where he was either director or assistant director.
Didn't he direct the last Kong movie? Not this very last one, but the one before it?
I know he's a
Might have.
very popular man, but the one thing that there's two things that remind me of, or that stick out when I think of Andy Serkis. I think of the fact that they used his face for some kind of facial recognition system within gaming. So they used his face and put him on like this crazy, like, it's just generic, warlord evil guy, and it was like eerily similar to it was just crazy because it was basically just his face, on a fucking crazy villain, and with him talking and shit. I remember that, and then it's the same thing that and another thing is didn't he voice one of the apes from Planet of the Apes?
Yeah.
The new Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, and wasn't he Gollum?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's see.
he's
So
been around for a while.
assistant director. He assistant directed The Hobbit, the Battle of the Five Armies, and also The Desolation of Smaug, and Unexpected Journeys.
Smaug.
I'm
Every time-
gonna say Smaug every time.
Well, because that's how you say it.
You're
Like,
supposed to say it, yeah.
and it's just like, every
Oh,
time I
shit.
hear it.
Sorry, he was also the assistant director of Heavenly Sword.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, whoa, what?
Yeah.
The PlayStation 3
Yeah.
game? What the fuck?
Yeah, he was the dramatic director.
Oh, really?
So I don't know if that means he
It's
directed...
wrong. It's all
I
wrong.
was
Do
gonna-
it again.
I was gonna say, I don't know if that means he assisted directed the for God's sake.
That's insane.
if he-
I didn't know that.
If he
at
directed
all.
the dramatics, or if he was like, "Oh my God,
Yeah.
Oh,
I can't do this. Everyone out of the room now."
Yeah.
we hate it.
We hate it.
That's
Every
hilarious.
time I hear Smaug, it reminds me of like if Paul Wall were to make a song about smog. It's all the Smaug out here.
Yeah.
So I guess as far as directing,
Mhm.
he did Breathe, some like romantic movie of some kind in 2017 called Breathe. He did a TV movie last year, The Ruins of Empires. Excuse me. And he also directed Mowgli: Legend of the Jungle in 2018. And
He
then
directed what?
Mowgli.
it's Mowgli.
Mowgli.
There's a W. There's and then of course he's doing Venom 2, and then he's got two other ones coming up. Steelskin, I don't know what that is, and Animal Farm, which is a movie adaptation of the book Animal Farm.
Wow.
I don't know how you... that's going to be very interesting.
Wow. Did you guys hear the runtime for It Chapter 2?
No.
2
Like
hours and
fucking-
45 minutes.
Nice.
That's how
that-
long Endgame was.
And they're doing a director's cut too, which can, obviously going to be even longer.
Yeah, it's going to be like 3 or 4 hours or something.
Well, and I also saw something saying that, not it related, but Stephen King related, that, so you know how they're redoing The Stand?
Mm-hmm.
I saw a thing saying that he is going to rewrite the ending of The Stand.
Yeah? No
yeah,
kidding.
for the show.
I don't know.
So, which I'm okay with. Like, as long as Stephen King is the one doing it, maybe it'll be okay.
Yeah.
They were talking about another Stephen King adaptation. I can't remember what it was, though.
Derek, you being a huge Stephen King fan, I was wondering if
Uh-huh.
there's something that you can shed a little light on.
Okay.
So, obviously,
Yes.
Stanley Kubrick made The Shining, right?
Right.
Like, he directed The Shining and critical and, commercial success. Everyone loves that fucking movie.
Right.
Is it true that Stephen King fucking hates that movie?
I mean, from what I've read, yeah.
Why?
I think just the way that he did some of the characterizations rubbed Stephen King the wrong way.
Stanley
Really?
Kubrick was an asshole too.
Yeah.
Like the biggest fucking
The shit that he
asshole.
did to Shelley Duvall was fucked up,
Yeah.
bro. Like, to the point where he wouldn't let her sleep, and he'd, scare her all the fucking time. He wanted her to be, scared as
Right.
fuck. And not only have that,
So if he didn't trust her as an actor, why did he hire her?
Yeah.
Because that's what an actor should be able to do. Like,
Yeah,
did he not
I don't know.
trust her to be able to
Hi,
act?
I'm Shelley Duvall.
Didn't she only do, 2 or 3 things, and
Oh
then
my
she's,
God.
totally not an actor anymore? An actress?
No,
I don't
she
know.
did more than that, but there was
What is that-
definitely
what is
a
that
time
from?
period. What?
Where it's just where she's like, "Hi, I'm Shelley Duvall."
Well, I mean, there was a video where there's her doing a bunch of them.
Well, yeah, I
So,
remember
I
seeing
think,
that
I think
as a
they
kid
were from
though.
PSAs.
Yeah,
Things of that
Yeah,
nature.
she did
'Cause,
a lot of
man,
that.
in the late 80s,
Yeah.
well, I mean, even throughout the 80s, PSAs were a huge fucking thing. Huge thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, once you got into the 90s, you started getting, the, I learned it from watching you, Dad!
Yeah.
Yeah.
But PSAs were around long before that, and they were amazing.
I just remembered hearing something about how Kubrick almost kind of seemed like he was trolling King.
Yeah,
Like,
I honestly haven't
Something to do with the car in the beginning. I haven't even seen The Shining. So
I
don't
honestly
really
haven't
know.
looked into it that much.
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing is, I feel like unless you're going to do a long-running series, it's really hard to do a Stephen King novel justice. Unless you're picking a short story of his.
see, the
which he
thing
has some amazing
about The
short
Shining
stories.
for me is so I saw the movie, but I saw the movie after the ABC miniseries,
Mhm.
and the miniseries fucked me up way more than the
Oh
movie.
yeah, no, a mini series is a great way to go about it, and,
Yeah.
and I think that's why he did it with The Stand originally.
Because the thing that got me the most about in the Shining the movie, there's a part where Jack Nicholson, he's wandering around and he's already going crazy, and he sees this gorgeous woman just naked in this bathtub, and he
Yeah.
goes up to talk to her, and she gets out and they start making out, and he opens his eyes and her skin's just falling off.
Yeah.
And in the miniseries, the same, that doesn't really happen. The kid walks into this room and notices that the curtain's drawn on the bathtub.
Yeah.
So he kind of walks in, and the curtain opens up, and this lady just peeks around the corner, and she's just green, and
The
it
fuck?
scared the fuck out of me. And I'm gonna see if I
I
can.
can't wait to watch this movie.
I'm gonna
I mean,
see if I can
I-
find it.
I think with Kubrick, he kind of went a little on the more visually sensational sort of, here's what's going to just as soon as people look at it be freaky and freak them the fuck out.
Yeah.
Where I think Stephen King kind of wanted more of a cerebral, internal descent into madness.
Also, speaking of people that are pissed off with movies, did you hear that Bruce Lee's daughter is mad at the Tarantino movies.
No, really?
Depiction
Why?
of Bruce Lee, because apparently he wasn't like apparently he gets portrayed as like this cocky, like dude or whatever, and he wasn't cocky at all, and like his hair wasn't right, and like him, like, because in the movie, I guess whoever plays Bruce Lee and Brad Pitt get into like a fight or whatever, like a fight scene.
Yeah.
And like Bruce Lee catches one of his kicks and like throws him or whatever. And like apparently his daughter and one of the guys that's like one of his like big historian people that like has a website for him and everything. They were like, yeah, right. Like if no one can catch a Bruce Lee kick, like it made him out to be this like god person, and I honestly think it was just for like attention. Like, I could be wrong, but like it's just like
some people take that legacy shit too far.
Well, not only
like,
that,
it doesn't really fucking matter. Like, let the shit that's already been said about him stand.
I saw the trailer for that movie, and for the split second that he was in the trailer, I legitimately thought it was him, and I was like, oh shit! Like,
yeah, it looks like him, but apparently the hair wasn't right for the period, and like, but again, this is Tarantino. Tarantino's known to take liberties with history.
Not only that, but like, you think he's gonna get upset about this shit, bro?
No, he's not, dude.
Like he dodged some shit in the last couple of years.
Brushing this off.
All that shit with Weinstein, so it's like, I can imagine he doesn't give a fuck.
Right, and
he
like,
don't care at all.
Like, I mean, what? In Inglourious Bastards, there was no troop that mowed down Hitler and his entire crew.
Nope.
You know what I mean? But that shit was fucking cool to watch.
Fantastic scene.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's not like...
Very satisfying to watch.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's not like you find one of Hitler's ancestors going like, oh, well, that's not what happened at all. You know what I mean? Like,
actually...
Yeah.
Did you know that Hitler was like high as fuck all the time?
Yeah.
He was like... All of Germany was like twacked out on like basically German-made meth. And there's like this video of him like twitching the fuck out. He's got like a walking cane that he used to have, and he's like tapping against his leg. He's like, dude, like Hitler was a total tweakhead, bro.
That's why he was so good at painting. He was an artist.
That's why he came up with half this, because I mean, he came up with the concept of the helicopter before anybody else.
No
did.
shit.
Yeah, dude. Like,
I didn't know that.
How about if we had a plane, but instead the wings were on the top and they went around really fast,
and then
really fucking fast,
and then there was a smaller wing on the back of it that spun around.
Yeah. Like, in other news, Kevin Conroy, to play Batman in the Arrowverse. This will be the first time in the 30 plus years that he's been playing Batman that he'll actually get to play a live
I have been wanting
and
to
this
see
will be the first time in several years that I've been excited about Arrow.
It's gonna be fucking awesome, because I've been like, we had our Batman episode, and I was like, just remake whatever you were gonna do when Batfleck was signed on, and just throw him in there. Like, that's all. Just put Kevin Conroy in there as Batman.
Right? Fucking and this came on the back of news that also Burt Ward was going to be in the Arrowverse.
Oh,
Burt Ward, who of those of you that don't know, played Robin in the '60s Batman movies. So, so like this is going to be a big event, like the Crisis on Infinite Earths. So we've got Kevin Conroy as Batman. We've got Burt Ward, hopefully as Robin. And we've got Brandon Routh reprising his role as Superman.
Did you see the article about Chloe Moritz, whatever?
Chloe Grace Moritz
being Batwoman. Did you see that?
No.
Wait, what?
I swear to God I saw.
Don't we already have a
something.
Batwoman?
Yeah, it's Ruby Rose.
Well,
or Batgirl?
Maybe.
Because if Chloe Grace Moritz is Batgirl, that'd be kind of dope.
I was talking to somebody on Facebook because somebody was talking about her, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm excited for," and I'm like, okay, yeah, but she's just not a great actress.
The fuck is
and
it's my phone.
She's like, "Yeah, well, Orange." I'm like,
"Oh no, Catwoman. That's who it was." Yeah.
And then they were like,
"Catwoman."
Yeah, well, she was in John Wick, and I'm like, she was a deaf woman. She didn't talk.
Yeah.
She was perfect for the role.
Yeah, she is going. She's being eyed for to play Catwoman in Matt Reeves' The Batman, starring supposedly Robert Pattinson.
Wow.
I mean, it makes sense, I guess.
I guess. I mean,
I guess.
PlayStation 4 hit 100 million consoles sold,
Indeed, it did.
Wow.
which is fucking rad, making it the best-selling console of all time.
And
Quickly on track to beating the PlayStation 1, which is what we're talking about.
And cementing it as the winner of the current console war.
Oh, if it wasn't already.
Yeah, I mean,
This
it was
thing,
all
man.
but decided, but you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's outselling the Xbox so fucking much that Microsoft doesn't even want to talk about how many Xboxes they sell. Like it's a big deal.
Hey,
I just think
Microsoft, how many Xboxes did you sell? Well, not as many as PlayStations.
I mean, we sold a lot. I haven't really looked at the numbers.
So we're coming out-
We're not that kind of a company.
I'm not into that. You know.
we're coming out with the PlayStation 5. Yeah. Well, me too. I'm coming out with a new Xbox.
And it's called the PlayStation 5.
And guess what? You can use 2 controllers on it now instead of 1.
What about that discless Xbox? We don't fucking talk about
Did that ever come out?
I think it did.
Jesus Christ! Didn't everyone call that thing the Sad Edition? Because it was modeled after the Xbox One S, which was the white one, and then it was all digital. So
It's
it was
like-
the Xbox S.
It's like the new Switch that's coming out. Like I can see it working for certain people, you know, that just want to constantly take their Switch everywhere. The Xbox, I can see it working for people who, you know, don't want to go out and buy games, but why?
The fuck for?
They took
You can trade games in.
I mean, they took a gamble though. That's the thing. Is like I feel like that's one of the things that is defining Microsoft this generation is that they're kind of just like throwing shit out in the wild and seeing what sticks. Like obviously they've done a lot of shit that really fucking sticks. Like the backwards compatibility and Game Pass, like this is all shit that Microsoft has been pioneering like since the beginning, almost the beginning.
And
of
I talk a lot of shit on it, but I like it's actually cheaper too. It's like $200.
Oh, is it?
And
it's still it's $250.
$250.
Yeah,
but
I feel like $200 would be a great price for that thing, but
because eventually I'm gonna want to get another Xbox, mostly. Because the Game Pass on PC is great, but they haven't put a lot of stuff out on it yet.
No, they really haven't.
Oh, I forgot. I need to add my August games to my library.
what is it?
I don't remember.
Sniper Elite 4 and
Something else.
I forgot what else it was. But they were pretty like decent titles. Sniper Elite 4 is a really fun game. Like I like, you know, it's the same mechanics or whatever. It's like all the other ones just updated. But
Yeah.
I have
That
it
game
on.
is fun.
I have it on. I got it in the Humble Bundle on PC, and it came with the extra mission where you assassinate Hitler.
oh, nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's badass.
So yeah, I would imagine that it's definitely going to outsell the PlayStation 1, which we're talking about today. The PlayStation 1 sitting at like, what was it, 102 million?
107 million.
So I would imagine that it'll at least come close. It's not even going to fucking touch the PlayStation 2, which is no surprise. But which is weird because there was a lot of people talking about how the PlayStation 4 was selling faster than the PS2. But also at the same time, you got to think like the PS2 kind of was the console that never fucking died. Like they still made PlayStation 2 games in like what 2008.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
still
like
have mine.
yeah, it's. I wouldn't imagine, and you know, like in there, they're gonna start selling really well in you know like other foreign countries and shit. So I would imagine that it's still got a little bit of life in it. Even though we're on the heels of the next generation.
I also still have because when I was in high school, I used to subscribe to OPM, Official PlayStation Magazine, and every magazine came with a demo disc. And I still have every single one.
That's
shit.
badass.
Yeah.
Well, on to the subject of the hour. The PlayStation, officially abbreviated as PS and commonly known as PS1 or its codename PSX.
Or the
I was like, oh,
I was
good,
waiting.
Garrett can't do that, but no.
No, he did. It's best not to feed him.
But then I'll die.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
No!
The PlayStation, officially abbreviated as PS and commonly known as the PS1 or its codename PSX, is a home video game console developed and marketed by Sony Computer Entertainment. It was first released on the 3rd of December in 1994 in Japan, on September 9th, excuse me, on September 9th in 1995 in North America, on September 29th, 1995 in Europe, and on November 15th, 1995 in Australia. Australia.
PlayStation.
I thought you said Australia.
Yeah,
Probably got time on the PlayStation.
that's how they call it. That's back in Australia.
Austria, huh?
Yeah.
Let's
back
throw
in-
another shrimp on the barbie.
Back in stars.
Yeah, back in Australia. Where did I leave?
Back in Australia.
Yeah, in Australia, and was the first of the PlayStation lineup of video game consoles. As a fifth-generation console, the PlayStation primarily competed with the Nintendo 64 and the Sega Saturn.
And absolutely fucking destroyed both of them.
And Yokohama Gamesville.
Come on, Gamesville! The PlayStation was the first computer entertainment platform to ship over 100 million units, which it had reached 9 years after its initial launch. In July 2000, a redesigned slim version called the PS1 was released, replacing the original gray console and named appropriately to avoid confusion with its successor, the PlayStation 2. The PlayStation 2, which is backwards compatible with the PlayStation's DualShock controller and games, was announced in 1999 and launched in 2000.
Do you remember that little screen that you could have on the PlayStation 1?
Yeah.
Where it like folded up?
Oh, yeah.
I think weren't those like, those weren't official PlayStation things, were they?
I don't think so.
I think those were modded like crazy.
Yeah.
Because it was basically just like it was a PlayStation 1, the slim version, that they, just
It was
redesigned in
more.
2000.
It was like a rounded out PlayStation.
Yeah, so it was super, very, very small. The original PlayStation, fucking huge.
Yeah.
That thing was very, very big. And that slim version was like super fucking small. It was like the same size as the disc tray on that bit. It could be a little bit bigger, but where was I going with that? So it was basically just a PS Slim with like a little TV monitor, like soldered on top of it. So it looked like a really fucking weird sandwich when it was all closed together, but it would like open up, and then the disc tray would open up. It was really weird. Yeah, I saw that. Like they had one at Fun Unlimited for like 90 years.
Oh, really?
Like every
man.
time you'd walk in, you'd see it. It would plug in just like a normal.
Wow.
That was the first time because growing up initially, I was a N64 kid.
Yeah.
And hands down, the best Christmas ever was when I got the N64 combo with GoldenEye.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, that was the best Christmas ever. And like a couple years after that, because I would always go to Fun Unlimited and just like walk around and look at shit. And it was back when they had like, when you could pay, like $5 to play a console for like an hour or whatever.
Yeah.
And one of the workers was playing this. It was kind of like a quick time event game called Brain Dead 13.
Oh, wow.
And he was playing it on the PlayStation or whatever. And I saw him. I was just watching him play it.
Yeah.
And I was like, "What is that?" He's like, "Oh, this is a PlayStation." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then for my birthday that next year, we went there to get one.
Yeah.
And I mean, it probably played well for about 6 months, and then it shit out on me. But I had one, and that was the first time I got one, and I was like, okay, this is way better.
I guess you could say that was the most important day of my life.
I have a lot of great memories with the PlayStation 1. Mostly the games I played on the PS2. Because I remember getting my PS2 for Christmas one year, I think. I don't know. It was a bundle that came with that Croc game.
Okay.
But I don't remember if it was Croc or if it was Spyro. But I don't ever remember having Spyro. But it makes more sense if it was bundled with Spyro. I'm not sure. But I still have that original big boy PlayStation 1. I'm gonna clean it and I'm gonna hang it on the wall.
Yeah, I've still got mine, and I have it actually hooked up in my house in the family room downstairs, which is exactly where all my consoles originally were. Like the same TV.
That's crazy.
We brought that TV out because when my dad's downstairs doing his stuff on his computer. He'll just like watch baseball.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wonder, and I like hooked it up, and I was out there and I was playing Tony Hawk 3.
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
So the last PS1 units were sold in late 2006 to early 2007, shortly after it was officially discontinued, for a total of 102 million units shipped since its launch 11 years earlier. Bearing in mind that PlayStation just hit 100, so that's...
Yeah.
PlayStation 4.
PlayStation 4, yeah. Games for the PlayStation continued to sell until Sony ceased production of both the PlayStation and PlayStation games on March 23rd, 2006, over 11 years after it had been released, and less than a year before the debut of the PlayStation 3.
Oops. Apparently I can't do that. Oh, there are no psst in my paragraph.
Yeah,
Good.
I think you did
Son
that on
of a
purpose.
bitch. I'll do it. I hope I do it again.
I'll do it. I hope I do it again.
Yeah.
Alright. On the 19th of September 2018, Sony unveiled the PlayStation Classic to mark the 24th anniversary of the original console. The new console is a miniature recreation of the original PlayStation, preloaded with 20 titles released on the original console.
Yeah, we don't talk about it though.
Yeah, no. Mm-mm. And was released...
It's not that bad. I have mine hooked up.
It's okay.
Nick touched
It's
my,
alright.
Nick touched my leg. He's doing it again.
I'll do it again.
I'm totally okay with the amount of money that I spent on it just for it to sit there. So right there next to Cloud, like I'm totally okay with it.
I bought mine
Totally
for $30.
Yeah. Good. I mean, $20-$30, that's a perfect price for that thing. That's a fucking steal for that thing. Like, people pay way more than that to get like an actual version of Metal Gear Solid, which you're getting with that, and more. So, yeah. People need to lighten the fuck up on the PlayStation.
I don't mean to, like, derail, but I was going to ask you, because I don't know if you know or not, Cole, but... So, when you're playing Metal Gear Solid, because I've been playing it on the classic, like...
Yeah.
What happens when you hit Psycho Mantis? Like, you don't... Because you don't have a memory card in it.
I haven't done it.
You don't know?
I haven't gotten to that part. My preferred way to play Metal Gear Solid is I hook the PS3 up. Because the PS3 uses the DualShock 3, and you can still get that the rumble feature. So, like, all of the little cool shit that Kojima did with the rumble feature in the DualShock 1 is all there.
I don't have a PlayStation 3 anymore, so...
Yeah, I pretty... What happened?
Just...
Oh.
The plunk.
Oh, I told you. I was looking at Angela. I was like, "These olives are a good fucking idea," and she's like, "Whatever you say." I'm like, "They fucking are, though." Yeah, the PS3. It's on the floor in my other room. But
Excuse me.
You must pardon me. I've become quite weary.
So to finish my final sentence.
Sorry, didn't mean to derail you.
It was released on the 3rd of December 2018. 2018, not 12.
Yeah.
Continue on, please.
And the exact date the console was released... Oh. Okay, let's start that again. It was released on the 3rd of December 2018. The exact date the console was released in Japan in 1994.
That is... I didn't know it was released on that exact same date.
Yeah, I didn't know that
That's
either.
pretty cool.
That's pretty fun. I like that.
The inception of what would become the released PlayStation dates back to 1986. Excuse me. With a joint venture between Nintendo and Sony. Nintendo had already produced floppy disk technology to complement cartridges in the form of the Family Computer Disk System, and wanted to continue this complementary storage strategy for Super Famicom. Nintendo approached Sony to develop a CD-ROM add-on, tentatively titled as the PlayStation, or SNES CD.
SNES.
A contract was signed and work began. Nintendo's choice of Sony, someone they had worked with before,
All I did was scroll. I didn't even move the phone.
A contract was signed and work began. Nintendo's choice of Sony, someone they had worked with before, Ken Kutaragi, who would be later called the father of the PlayStation, was the individual who had sold Nintendo on using the Sony SPC 700 processor for use as the 8-channel ADPCM sound set in the Super Famicom SNES console through an impressive demonstration of the processor's capabilities.
So I don't recognize that name, Ken Kutaragi. So when you got to the part where you're like, who would later be called, I just hoped it was going to be a son of a bitch!
Later be called a son of a bitch.
A goddamn dog!
Dude, there was a game I was playing the other day. I can't remember what it was, but or maybe it was on the Rift Tracks channel I was watching, but somebody came on and was just like, those goddamn dogs!
They were channeling a little bit of Derek.
Kutaragi was nearly fired by Sony because he was originally working with Nintendo on the side without Sony's knowledge, while still employed by Sony.
So he was a son of a bitch.
He was a son of a bitch.
Well, thank God that he did, though.
Yeah.
It was then CEO Norio Oga who recognized the potential in Kutaragi's chip and in working with Nintendo on the project. Oga kept Kutaragi on at Sony, and it was not until Nintendo canceled the project that Sony decided to develop its own console. Sony also planned to develop a Super NES compatible Sony branded console, but one would be more of a home entertainment system, playing both Super NES cartridges and a new CD format which Sony would design. This was also to be the format used in SNES CDs, giving a large degree of control to Sony despite Nintendo's leading position in the video game market.
So
this thing came out and made fucking waves, bro. Like, there was a lot of shady shit going around.
There is actually somebody got their hands on that prototype. There's a picture. This is the last remaining Nintendo PlayStation prototype.
That is beautiful.
Wow, dude. That thing looks cool.
Yeah. Because I remember that
How much
article
money did
coming
they
out.
want for it?
I don't think he's looking to
It
sell.
belongs in a museum!
Dogs. Why did it have to be dogs?
You like dogs?
A goddamn dog! Why did it have to be a goddamn dog?
Alright, the product, under the name PlayStation, was to be announced at the May 1991 Consumer Electronics Show, CES. PlayStation. However, when Nintendo's Hiroshi Yamauchi...
Yamauchi.
I kind of panicked when I was reading that.
I like that. Yamauchi.
Yamo, chill here.
However, when Nintendo's Hiroshi Yamauchi read the original 1988 contract between Sony and Nintendo, he realized that the earlier agreement essentially handed Sony complete control over any and all titles written on the SNES CD-ROM format. Yamauchi decided that the contract was totally unacceptable. Excuse me. Yamauchi decided that the contract was totally unacceptable, and he secretly canceled all plans for the joint Nintendo-Sony SNES CD attachment. Instead of announcing a partnership between Sony and Nintendo at 9 a.m. the day of the CES, Nintendo chairman Howard Lincoln stepped onto the stage and revealed that Nintendo was now allied with Philips, and Nintendo was planning on abandoning all the previous work Nintendo and Sony had accomplished.
Jesus.
Right? The day of.
Remember that thing? Nah.
That's not a thing anymore.
Like, imagine we're at, like, Comic-Con or something, and, like, the first announcement, they come out and just go,
Marvel's
hey,
no longer doing
yeah,
comics.
hey, we're not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
Everyone go home. Lincoln and Minoru Arakawa had, unbeknownst to Sony, flown to Philips' global headquarters in the Netherlands and formed an alliance of a decidedly different nature, one that would give Nintendo total control over its license on Philips machines.
So, Nintendo, at this point in time, kind of had a big head. Like, they really thought that they could do no wrong, and
They
which
had
kind of
permanently put in the big head mode.
And I mean, obviously, from that, like, just from that blurb, you can tell that Nintendo was willing to accept nothing less than total control.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, like, those reverberations can still be felt today. Like, Nintendo has this, like, really weird cadence about itself, where it doesn't really want to... It doesn't want to be held... I don't know. They want to control everything. Like that like you said, like there was that moment in YouTube history where nobody would make any kind of YouTube videos on Nintendo games because Nintendo wanted like 80 to 90% of the profit made off of that video. Mm-hmm. And if you didn't sign up for that shit, then guess what? You ain't making Nintendo videos.
Yeah.
Like, that was like one of those like super antiquated visions for Nintendo that, you know, very, very quickly went away as soon as the Switch started coming down, you know, was you know, going down the pipeline. One of their biggest blunders, in my opinion, is how they lost Final Fantasy VII. Mm-hmm. And all this shit that went down, and it was basically because they were like, hey, you know what? I would imagine that Final Fantasy VII was in like early development stages when this SNES CD thing was being made. So they fully thought, like, hey, you know what? We're going to do all this shit on this crazy fucking cool new thing for the SNES. Like, it's going to be really rad. And then Nintendo's like, nope, we're just not going to do that.
That
and
was, 7 was 97, wasn't it?
90 was, yeah.
And this was, what was it saying, like 95 was 90. This whole thing?
Yep.
Yeah,
so I would
imagine
imagine very early development stage.
And before we started recording, Eddie was reading to us the top selling games of PlayStation, and all 3 Final Fantasies were all on that list, 7, 8, and 9. So not only did they blunder it with 7, but 7, 8, and 9 were all PlayStation exclusives.
Well, not only that, but 10 as well.
Yeah.
10
was on PS2.
I mean, if you leave a bad enough taste in someone's mouth,
after that,
it's over.
Yeah, after that, Final Fantasy was a PlayStation title, like for a very, very long time, which is crazy because, you know, the first 6 games were Nintendo games. So it was a big deal, and I think that, you know, obviously that pettiness from that wound that Nintendo got can still be felt kind of today, more you know, earlier on when Cloud got announced for Smash. Cloud got two costumes for Smash.
Just 2.
And guess how many songs they got?
1.
2.
Oh, 2?
They got 2 songs. They got the main battle theme, and they got the boss battle theme. That's it. In the entire...
I like Bass Battle.
Bass
no,
battle.
I think it should be Bass Bottle. If you're going to swap one, you should swap the other.
Yeah.
Bass Bottle.
At least they got the well, at least on is the Midgar level on the one where he got announced on the Wii U?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess that's more pettiness on Square's part because Nintendo was willing to play ball more than they were. But yeah, that was a big deal. Like, they were like, "Hey, we want to do this, and you're not letting us do this. So now we're gonna go. We're gonna go play with Daddy PlayStation over
fast
here."
Forward to
Papa PlayStation.
Gross.
Fast forward to today, and I mean, not eventually. I only say this because 8 hasn't been remastered yet, but you'll be able to play 7, 8, 9 on a Nintendo console, like the way they were originally made.
I know that this isn't like a big deal to people, but I still think that's the coolest fucking
No, I
shit
think it's amazing.
ever, bro.
Yeah, same here.
It's too fucking cool. Like, the game that caused one of the nastiest fucking breakups in video game history is now
available on that console.
I just thought it was so cool. But, I mean, yeah, obviously it's not as cool as a lot of people think it is.
I'm gonna go play with Tony PlayStation.
Hey, Tony!
Are those Nintendo boys giving you trouble again?
We'll call Sammy Sega.
Oh my god. I hope it gets into how fucking dirty Sony did to Sega in this. Like, holy shit. Like, actually fucking buried that thing before it even came out. The Dreamcast.
The Dreamcast.
Holy shit. I think I've talked about it on a previous cast before, but it was at, I believe it was E3 of that year.
I mean, even if it doesn't talk about it, we'll have to get into it.
Yeah, because I don't think it does.
I doubt it would.
Absolutely fucking buried that thing before it even came out. So Sega went first,
Uh-huh.
and they basically were saying all this shit like, oh yeah, the Dreamcast will do this, this, and this, $399, right? And then the guy that came out for Sony just said one thing. He's like $199, and just fucking walked away. Fucking buried that thing. Like the Dreamcast, bro. The Dreamcast is one of the worst selling consoles of all time, and I fully believe it was because of
I
that
had a
one
Dreamcast
moment.
at one point, and I fucking loved it.
Yeah.
Like, I absolutely loved it.
It was a great console. It had great games on it. It was super fucking innovative for the time. Like,
Right.
It had like all kinds of shit on the controller, right? Like it had like an LCD panel on the screen. Right?
It had it was
Not an
mainly
LCD.
needed for the Sonic game that came out on that. Was it Sonic Adventure? Or it was one of the Sonic games where you were it was like a Sonic sandbox game.
It was Sonic Adventure.
Yeah, and you basically had this thing that it was called a VMU, a visual memory unit.
Yeah.
And that was like where all your stuff was saved to, pretty much. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I think the game itself saved onto that as well, but it was like maybe that big, and it had like a directional pad and buttons on it because you collected these little like, you know, in the original Sonic games when you break the ring at the end and all these animals come out.
Yeah.
Like, you collected those in the game, and you could like bring them up on it and like do stuff with them.
What?
Oh, that's
But
cool.
The memory unit itself had a screen, and you would slide that into the middle of the controller, and then the screen would pop through this little square cutout in the controller.
Damn.
There was a Berserk game that came out on the Dreamcast, and on that little screen was Puck. They had like a little digitalized
cool.
version
But
of Puck.
I just remember one of the best fighting games I've ever played came out on that, called Power Stone.
Yeah, Power
Oh
Stone.
god, that game was phenomenal.
You know, we got to get something out of the way really fast. Brian, if you,
All right, I'll take my clothes off.
Brian, I know
Oh,
you're listening right now.
Just get it over with.
You know, my friend Brian, I know you're listening right now. I'm gonna say something that you're really not gonna agree with. So
Cover your
I
ears.
wouldn't take offense if you stopped listening to the podcast right now.
I would.
Earmuffs.
Earmuffs.
Brian,
Just take them out. Just take the ear pods out. You know,
go bring up a game or something.
Sonic was never good.
What?
Sonic the Hedgehog has never
You
had
son of a
You're
bitch.
fucking high.
What?
everything
the
that
fuck are you talking
everything that Sonic goes out to do with a video game is completely at odds with itself. It fucking prides itself on this like super fast, crazy. You know, you're going fast on the screen, right? Like you're supposed to. You're Sonic the Hedgehog. You're the blue blur. You're supposed to be fucking super fast.
Bill Burr?
But guess what? Guess what fucking absolutely ruins that fucking flow
What?
of a game? Is I run into a fucking enemy because I'm going too fast. Or I'm running and I jump off a thing thinking, you know, oh, I'm going to safely land on a platform somewhere. No, you landed on spikes, dummy. You're dead.
Idiot.
Idiot.
You are on opiates.
Those games are mediocre at best.
You were on opiates.
The only good Sonic game was Sonic Mania. That's because it was made by people that actually give a fuck about that character and made that flow actually work. Like, level design is critical for a fucking platformer, and it never, ever had good fucking level design. Ever.
You are
I will die on this fucking hill. Sonic was never good.
just talking out your ass.
Mediocre at best. Not
I
only
was
that,
never a
we've
huge
had all
Sonic
these
fan myself.
fucking horrendous Sonic Adventure games, which were cool, like, for a budding fucking 9-year-old. Like, you know, Sonic's super edgy and chili dogs and shit. Like, yeah, this is fucking Sonic.
Sonic
Have you been a part of
edgy
this?
And chili dogs and shit.
Yeah, dude.
All right.
We should do a second episode.
I
maybe.
will
Sonic and
also
chili dogs
mention
and
that the Dreamcast. So we'll probably get into it on the next episode, but the PlayStation 2 had the network adapter for
Yeah.
online stuff.
Yeah.
The Dreamcast just had an Ethernet port just
Wow.
right in the back of it.
Yeah.
And given I am a young adolescent boy and I discovered the Dreamcast had the internet,
You
Yeah.
immediately tried to do porn.
oh,
And?
Did it
and
work?
succeeded.
Yes.
Oh, shit.
Well, not videos, because
Wow.
Yeah, just
that
pictures.
technology wasn't there because they didn't have like anything embedded into it. But
That was reserved for the PSP.
yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
PS porn.
PlayStation
Porn
Portable.
Station Portable.
Pornable.
Sorry,
All right.
I had to get that out because I've been holding that in for
And
very
and
long.
and it's okay that you're wrong. Anyway, moving
Oh
on.
God, I'm right and you know it and it hurts.
Bullshit.
You are on opiates.
I'm right and it hurts and you know it.
All right, after the collapse of the joint Nintendo project, because they smoking weed.
Right.
We smoking big joints out here. An Amish
Gang.
gang.
After the collapse of the joint Nintendo project, Sony briefly considered allying itself with Sega to produce a standalone console. The Sega CEO at the time, or Kyo,
Oh God. He's gonna every opportunity will be taken.
the can't even do it now. The Sega CEO at the time, Tom Kalinske, I'm assuming that's you pronounce the E. Okay.
Yeah.
Took the proposal to Sega's board of directors in Tokyo, who promptly vetoed the idea. Kalinske, in a 2013 interview, wondered where his kids were because they got shrunk.
I was going to say the same thing.
God damn it. I'm like reading. I'm like, that's not that. Oh my God. Okay.
Boom!
It's a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids joke.
Yeah, no, I like, as soon as you started laughing, I was like, oh fuck. That was genius.
That's the joke.
All right.
I understand that reference.
Yeah, right. I mean, I'm sure there's so many people that are listening to this going, "Who? What?"
And a
Honey,
bunch
I-
of them turned it off.
I know, huh? Honey, I Shrunk what?
They're like, I just can't anymore.
Thanks
Whatever.
for staying with us, Brian.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. We love you.
If you're still there after that
After that
Sonic rhetoric.
ridiculous, soapbox. In a 2000 interview, 2000 interview? No, let's try words again.
In his 2000th interview.
I already told you guys that shit.
I've been keeping
199.
1,999 times.
I've been keeping track, and in his 2000th interview,
Pulls out a little book and just goes, God.
Just checks it off a notepad.
Got a tally mark.
All right. Kalinske, in a 2013 interview, recalled them saying, "That's a stupid idea. Sony doesn't know how to make hardware.
Yeah, okay.
They don't know how to make software either. Why would we want to do this?" This prompted Sony into halting their research, but ultimately the company decided to use what it had developed so far, with both Nintendo and Sega. You're right there, Twitchy? You alright there,
Like
Twitchy?
my arms just immediately became independent from it just fucking tweaked out. I
They
had,
become sentient.
that was so
Detroit becomes human.
that shit was so fucking involuntary. I can't tell
Oh
you.
my god, that was fucking awesome.
I sometimes I'll get that like
Leave it in.
I'll be like trying to fall asleep or whatever, and my leg will just like go like that, and
Just
I'm
like jerk
like,
out.
I didn't do that. I
Yeah.
didn't try to
Yo,
do
dude,
that.
I have some of the most violent fucking, like, those wake-up spurs. That you know what I'm talking about, where you're falling asleep and then you,
and
jolt awake?
Yeah,
I swear to God, I have some of the most fucking violent occurrences when it happens. Like, dude, I swear to God, if there was, like, anybody near me, like, I'm pretty sure that they would end up with, like, a bruise or something. Because, like, when I wake up hard, bro. Like, the fucking ground shakes.
I'll kill you, Leonard Nimoy.
There's this one time where
Movies.
I woke up like I don't know what happened or what prompted me to wake up, but like I told somebody about it, and they're like, "Dude, it sounds like you fucking stopped breathing and you woke up." Because what happened was like I went to bed that night, and then I remember just like waking up and just going, and then I was like, I
Should
like
probably
didn't
get that checked out.
I didn't
bro.
like. There was a split second where I was just like, I didn't know where the fuck I was. I was
Wow.
huh?
It
And
sounds
then,
like sleep apnea.
I turned my light on and I
Or
was like,
sleep apnea.
Well, one of them.
oh yeah, one of them.
Oh yeah, one of them.
You know, it's either sleep apnea or sleep apnea. I don't
Yo,
know.
I got
Yet another
tested.
one.
I got tested for that shit. That is some wild shit. Like
Yeah.
all
Yeah,
that
you go
shit that
through
you
a
have
lot,
to
yeah.
strap up to
Oh,
your
yeah,
face
dude.
before you go to bed. I totally did it wrong too.
Mm.
Like I fucking know I did.
Good night.
Yeah, pretty much.
I was born in... So...
I have a funny story, but I'll save it for later.
Ultimately, the company decided to use what it had developed so far with both Nintendo and Sega to make it into a complete console based on the Super Famicom. As a result, Nintendo filed a lawsuit claiming breach of contract and attempted in U.S. federal court to obtain an injunction against the release of what was originally christened the PlayStation on the grounds that Nintendo owned the name. The federal judge presiding over the case denied the injunction, and in October 91, the first incarnation of the aforementioned brand new game system was revealed. However, it is theorized that only 200 or so of these machines were ever produced.
By the end of 1992, Sony and Nintendo reached a deal whereby the PlayStation would still have a port for SNES games, but Nintendo would own the rights and receive the bulk of the profits from the games. And the SNES would continue to use the Sony-designed audio chip.
That shit's wild. That would never fucking work today.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine?
Well, I mean, at that point, like, if you're Sony, wouldn't you just not advertise those games?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, there's so many things where you
Yeah.
could be like, fuck you.
I know, right?
However, Sony decided in early 1993 to begin reworking the PlayStation concept to... Sony decided in early 1993...
Was PlayStation like Photoshop?
Yeah. Sony decided in early 1993 to begin reworking the PlayStation concept to target a new generation of hardware and software. As part of this process, the SNES cartridge port was dropped and the space between the names PlayStation was removed, becoming PlayStation, thereby ending Nintendo's involvement with the project.
And that just makes the fact that picture of the last remaining prototype, like, it makes it that much more insane. Like, that ever actually existed. Because you saw the controller, I don't know if you saw that up close, but the controller looked like the
Super Famicom.
those SNES controllers that came out with the different colored buttons.
Yeah.
So the different
And then-
colored buttons is because it was the Super Famicom.
Yeah.
That version
And
was
then
only released in Japan.
on the controller, it has it says PlayStation, and then, like, above it says Nintendo.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's fucking wild. Bro.
Imagine just, like, not even owning one of those, just being able to, like, see that shit.
Right.
Holding
If they kept going with that, could you imagine, dude? We'd have NPS4s right now.
it.
That'd be so weird. I wonder if Nintendo's like... Obviously, it would have to be like two different subsections, right? Like, Nintendo would be kind of going down their more traditional path, like, I feel like what they're doing right now, and then Nintendo would also be going down the, like, the
PlayStation.
crazy... Huh?
PlayStation?
Well, no, like, if it was still, like, a joint thing, if Nintendo and Sony were, like, working together, and it was an NPS4...
So, like, do you think if that had happened, that PlayStation would still mostly be doing things like they were previous to putting out the PlayStation on their own, like, you know, making parts and different processors
so.
and things like that?
I think that we wouldn't have a Sony today.
Yeah.
I don't think that we would have Sony today if it wasn't for PlayStation, especially for PlayStation 4. PlayStation 4 is the number one selling thing.
So I guess it really...
PlayStation, you know, the subdivision of PlayStation,
Right.
is keeping Sony fucking afloat.
I guess
especially
we should say
the PS4.
thank you, Nintendo!
Yeah.
Look at that. Like, it even has the same PlayStation font.
That's fucking
Yeah.
wild, bro.
And then look at that game up in the corner, too.
Super what?
I don't know.
Super Boss Raiden?
But, yeah, that's not your typical
Super boss bitches.
Super Nintendo
Super
cartridge
Boss
box.
bitches.
We'll post the image on the page.
According to Sony engineer, all work on the console from time of partner the. Blah, blah, blah. According from
Steenburgen.
According to a Sony engineer, all the work on the console from the time of the partnership with Nintendo was eventually scrapped, and the PlayStation design was restarted from scratch. Sony's North American division, known as Sony Computer.
I want to play that.
I love compooners.
That's the other prototype they had.
Compooners are the best pooners there are.
Known as Sony Computer Entertainment, SCEA. Originally,
Johnson. Family
Wax. A family company.
Originally planned to market the new console under the alternative branding PSX, following the negative feedback regarding PlayStation in focus group studies. Which y'all a bunch of fucking clowns. The PlayStation is one of the coolest video game console names ever. Early advertising prior to the console's launch in North America referenced PSX, but the term was scrapped before launch.
Since Sony had no experience in game development and the managers knew about it, the company turned to third-party game developers, with support from Namco, Konami, and Williams, as well as 250 other development teams in Japan alone. The company secured the launch of new games such as Ridge Racer and Mortal Kombat 3. In addition, Sony bought the European company Psygnosis?
Yeah.
That's what I was
Psygnosis for $48 million and renamed it Sony Interactive Entertainment, which began developing games for the future console, including Wipeout and Destruction Derby.
Yo, Ridge Racer was the shit, bro.
That's on the
Racer.
PlayStation Classic.
Yeah. Oh, Wipeout. Not Wipeout. Right? Wipeout's the futuristic one?
Yep.
Yeah, the entire Wipeout collection is the other free game for the month.
Oh, that's right. That's what it was.
Okay.
That's what it was.
Yo, the
That's
Wipeout
actually-
game on PSP was fucking rad. That game was so cool. I don't know if it was a launch title, but it was really cool.
That actually excites me. That'll be a real treat for me.
Yeah.
Let's see. The purchase of Psygnosis, or Psygnosis, which is
I said Psygnosis.
the purchase of apparently Psygnosis also brought other benefits to the company, including a dedicated game development kit for the console. With the help of Psygnosis, SN Systems, or SN Systems, was publishing software development tools called PSYQ. Psych. See, that one actually makes sense.
It's still stupid.
Fuck you. Initially, Sony planned to use its own game development kit based on the expensive R4000 processor. However, Andy Beveridge... that's real. Is that
Can I get a beverage?
His name is Beveridge?
It reminds me of
Beverage, here! No, not a drink, Andy!
No, Andy, get over here. Come and sit the fuck
beverage.
down.
Bring me a beverage.
Let's have some beverages. No,
No.
not you.
There was I can't remember where I saw it, but
Watch it be beverage.
like in,
Yeah.
in high school when they'd like come and refill the soda machines, I remember the company that did it was Admiral Beverage, and I just imagined this guy in like the Navy who just
I am
drank a
Admiral
lot.
Beverage.
I am Admiral Beverage. Like,
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
And here is my good friend Captain Crunch.
We are here fighting a war on thirst. And that, like, iconic music plays in the background.
Oh god. Alright. However, Andy Beveridge and Martin Day, owners of SN Systems, built a prototype of the development tool which used an ordinary personal computer and showed it to the representatives of Sony at the Winter CES in 1994. Sony executives liked the alternative, and the company helped SN Systems with condensing the development kit on 2 PC extension boards. Industry hype for the console spread quickly, and in early 1994, GamePro reported that, quote, many video game
Companies?
I was going to say computers. For some reason. And in early 1994, GamePro reported that, quote, many video game companies feel that in the near future, the video game platforms to contend with will be from Nintendo, Sega, and Sony, end quote.
The PlayStation's success was partially due to Sony's approach to third-party developers, while Sega and Nintendo took an isolationist approach focused primarily on first-party development, while generally ignoring the concerns of third-party developers. Sony streamlined game production by providing a range of online programming libraries that were constantly updated. They also organized third-party technical support teams and in some cases gave direct development support to third parties. At the close of 1996, approximately 400 games were being developed for the PlayStation, compared to approximately 260 games being developed for Saturn and the Nintendo 64, respectively.
You want to know?
Okay.
You want to know what the first? When I got that PlayStation from Fun Unlimited, the first 2 games I had on it were
What?
Dragonheart. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah.
That was a game.
Yeah.
What?
Wow.
That was a
And
game.
there was a Casper the Friendly Ghost game.
Badass.
They were actually like Dragonheart was hard as
Oh,
fuck.
dude, Dragonheart used to make me cry, bro.
Oh no!
I'm a dragon.
I'm Sean Connery.
While the Sega Saturn was marketed towards 18 to 34-year-olds, the PlayStation was marketed roughly, but not exclusively, towards 12 and 24-year-olds. Both Sony and Sega reasoned that because younger players typically look up to older, more experienced players, advertising targeted at teens and adults would draw them in too. Additionally, Sony found that adults react best to advertising geared towards teenagers, according to Lee Clow, sorry. That was horribly racist. According to Lee Clow.
I don't think it was racist.
I didn't mean to, I'm sorry, don't kill me.
Skimmed over it.
Yeah.
Don't kill me.
According to Lee Crown, that might be racist.
That would be racist.
Yeah.
Quote, one of the first things we resolved early on was that everyone is 17 when they play these games. The young people look up to the best gamer, who is usually a little older and more practiced and talented. Then there... I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm having trouble reading today.
Did you forget how to read for a
I'm
minute?
having like multiple little strokes throughout the day today. And I'm also running off of 2 hours of sleep, so suck the biggest
Stan
dick
wanted me
you
to
can
tell
find,
you,
okay?
Wendy, that you're a continuing source of inspiration.
Down like a clown, Charlie.
Don't I take umbrage with that sentence, by the way. The young people look up to the best gamer, who's usually a little older and more practiced and talented.
Well, back then, yeah, but not today.
Fuck that shit.
And now,
Today we got 12-year-old Koreans.
and we have a.
We had no 12-year-old Koreans.
We got a
back then.
16-year-old winning the Fortnite
I was
championship,
gonna say
making
that.
fucking $3 million.
More than
That
The
kid's
dude
life's
won
going
in-
down the drain, by the way.
what's his name? The dude won from Wimbledon and what Tiger Woods won in one of the Masters.
Yeah, that shit was fucking ridiculous. Still in quotations. Then there are people who start working and grow up, but when they go into their room and sit down with their video games, they're regressing and becoming 17 again. End quote. Initially, the PlayStation's demographics were skewed towards adults, but the audience broadened after the first price drop.
Oh, right.
And after Metal Gear Solid came out.
Yeah. In 1996, Sony expanded their CD production facilities in Springfield, Oregon, due to high demand for PlayStation games. This increased their monthly output from 4 million discs to 6.5 million discs. This was necessary because PlayStation sales were running at twice the rate of Saturn sales, and dramatically increased their lead when both the PlayStation and Saturn dropped in price to $199.
Wait, so twice the rate wasn't dramatic?
So I said that wrong. So I was saying that they buried the Dreamcast. I meant the Saturn.
Oh, okay, yeah. Let's see. PlayStation sales were running at twice the rate of Saturn sales and dramatically increased their lead when both the PlayStation and Saturn dropped in price to $199 in May. This was largely because some retailers, such as KB Toys, oh god, I used to go there all the time when I was a kid, holy shit, such as KB Toys did not stock the Saturn.
That was her.
It's alright.
I'll wait.
Right?
The PlayStation also outsold the Saturn at a similar ratio in Europe during 1996, with an accumulated 2.2 million consoles sold in the region by the end of the year. Sales figures for PlayStation hardware and software only increased following the launch of the Nintendo 64. Sony Computer Entertainment President Teruhisa Tokunaka speculated that the Nintendo 64 launch had actually helped PlayStation sales by raising public awareness of the gaming market through Nintendo's added marketing efforts.
Ah! Suck it, Nintendo!
Thanks, Nintendo!
As of June 30th, 2007.
When?
Look at that. There's so many... Alright.
As of 30 June 2007,
And tonight,
under Meg Griffin's bra.
Bobby Moynihan.
Bobby, smell that pepper? As of 30 June.
I love how we just like
2007.
coalesce and just digress into a fucking puddle of fucking callbacks.
As of June 30th, 2007, 7,918 software titles have been released worldwide for the PlayStation, counting games released in multiple regions as separate titles. As of the 31st of March in 2007, the cumulative software shipment was at 962 million units. FIFA Football 2005 was the last game released for the system in the United States. However, several reprinted and remastered editions were released in later years. On the 26th of July 2007, Konami released Metal Gear Solid
Snake!
The Essential Collection, which contained Metal Gear Solid in the original PlayStation format. In 2011, Capcom released the Resident Evil 15th Anniversary Collection, and in 2012, Square Enix... Is it just
Enix.
Enix?
Yeah.
Or-
Enix, it doesn't matter. I've heard it both ways.
I always say Enix because of Squeenix.
Squeenix,
Yeah.
In 2012, Square Enix, it doesn't matter, released the Final Fantasy 25th Anniversary Ultimate Box in Japan containing all of the Final Fantasy titles. And a majority...
Yo, could you imagine though?
I'd buy that shit in a fucking heartbeat.
Where's Tifa? Where's Tifa?
Tifa titties.
Eris.
Final Fantasy titles, a majority of which were in the original PlayStation format.
Yo, Square Enix is fucking up by not putting that shit out in the States. Could you imagine this huge bundle of all the Final Fantasy games on one console?
I can because I'm paying blasphemous amounts of money for one Final Fantasy.
I just think that
Which
would be
I hope
so
I can still
fucking
pay
cool.
for.
Well, I mean, imagine like what they're doing with 7, 8, and 9 right now, and you know, every other year with 10. Fucking, what if they just did every single Final Fantasy, release it on PSN, put trophies in that bitch, sell it for $20? You'd be making hand over fucking fist money.
Mm-hmm.
People would buy.
Gangbusters.
Yeah, exactly. People would be buying that shit like fucking crazy, bro. I know I would.
Yeah.
I'd buy every fucking one of them day one. Especially 6 and 4.
And 2 and 3 and 1 and 5 and...
I'd pick up 1. I don't know if I'd pick up 2. 2's kind of a dumpster fire. 3's really good. And same thing with 5. I've heard wonderful things about 5. And they're all, the thing is that they're all available for that price on mobile.
Yeah.
Put it on fucking consoles, you cowards. Fucking do it.
Do it, you
Fucking
won't.
cowards.
Do it, pussy, you won't. In regard to the PlayStation's hardware, its designer Ken Kutaragi said, quote, "The technology came from an original idea to create a synthesizer for graphics, something that takes a basic graphic and then adds various effects to it quickly and easily," end quote. Kutaragi saw the biggest challenge in developing the system to balance the conflicting goals of high performance, low cost, and being easy to program for, and felt that his team were successful in this regard. Quote, "Sure, it would have been nice to, say, double the size of the RAM memory. This would have been very easy. But it would have cost more at retail level, and we probably would not have sold as many. Sure, Nintendo 64 now has a faster clock speed, but the ratio of clock speed to price typically doubles every 2 years. So it's no surprise that it's faster. But PlayStation was the cutting-edge technology of its time, and I'm happy with it."
Yes.
So get off my back!
The clock on the Nintendo 64 was much faster than
Yeah.
that of the
Yeah.
clock of the PlayStation.
It was like double normal time.
It,
Yeah.
It told time much
Way
faster.
faster.
Yeah.
Way faster. In regards to copy protection prior to the PlayStation, reproducing copyrighted material for game consoles was restricted to either enthusiasts with exceptional technical ability or people who have access to CD manufacturers. However, due to the increased availability of cheap CD burners at this time, Sony modified the shape of the first portion of the data track on PlayStation formatted discs, which is something I look back favorably. I remember looking at the back of a PlayStation disc and it being black.
Yep.
And I remember thinking, that's fucking...
There's a lot of old sentences in here. Like CD burners.
Yeah.
Jesus
Game
Christ.
Pro.
Yeah.
What's that John Mulaney thing? Like, no one talks like that, Grandma.
Oh, yeah. We're going to go play jacks down at the soda fountain. And I said, no one talks like that, you idiot.
Oh, that's right.
I know how you talk to your grandma.
A normal data track follows a smooth spiral path around a disc, whereas the modified portion follows a wavy spiral path. As a result, any disc that did not contain this modification, such as CDR copies or standard pirated discs, would not boot on the console. This modified portion of the data path is also used to encode the disk region. For example, a disk distributed in the NTSCUC region would encode the letters SCEA. In Europe, SCEE. In Japan, SCEI. This served as a copy protection as well as region
Thank
locking.
God you weren't reading that. You would have a heyday.
Inskook.
Skia.
I'm sure we're going to get into it, but...
He didn't read it, yet here we are. Fucking hearing the same shit.
And the funny thing is, wouldn't have even happened unless Nick had brought it up. I would have just
I'm
moved
sure we'll
on.
get into this next week, but going back to how the PlayStation discs were black, the actual PlayStation made games on the PS2 were blue.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Rad.
Bring it home.
Bring it on!
Hey, Skitty-Yo-Go!
Go get!
The PlayStation's top-selling games were a variety of genres that included, in order from top to bottom, Gran Turismo, which had 10.85 million shipped, Final Fantasy VII, which had 9.72 million, Gran Turismo 2, 9.97 million, Final Fantasy VIII, 7.86 million, Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped, 7.13 million, Crash Bandicoot 6.82 million, and Metal Gear... Oh, whoops, there was more than that. Metal Gear Solid, 6.03 million, Final Fantasy IX, 5.3 million, Tomb Raider 2, 5.2 million, and Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back, 5.17 million.
Those were the top 10.
I still can't believe that fucking Gran Turismo is the best-selling game. That's so weird.
That was
Not only that, it's the best-selling game with only 11 million units, but the console sold 102 million, so it makes no sense. It must have had not a very good
it was
retention rate.
Yeah, it was the big revolutionary driving simulator game.
Yeah.
And my friend has Gran Turismo Sport on PS4, and that's all he talks about.
Yeah. Obviously, we have some of the greatest fucking games ever made on this console. Castlevania Symphony of the Night was made on this console, which is, obviously in lots of talks of greatest games ever made. We've talked at lengths about Metal Gear Solid. I don't think we need to talk about it anymore, but...
Metal Gear what?
Yeah.
Metal Gear Flaccid.
Twisted Metal made its debut on the PlayStation.
Yes.
Dude, you know what
Twisted
game I really
Metal
like?
Black was one of
Twisted
the
Metal
darkest
Black
games
was amazing.
I've ever played.
One of my favorite games on the PS1 was Jet Moto.
Jet Moto.
Jet Moto was my shit.
And Twisted Metal Black, that was PS2 though, right?
Yeah, Twisted Metal Black was
But no, it was one of the darkest games I've ever
Oh
played.
yeah, it's so I fucking loved that game.
I think I have that game.
Tenchu
We need to play.
came out on PlayStation.
Oh,
Tenchu was the shit.
Siphon Filter.
Yep.
Yep.
That was a big one. Let's see here. None of y'all played the Ace Combat games, did you?
No.
Mega Man Legends 2. I never played it. Kind of want to play it. It looks like total shit. Tomb Raider. I never played the Tomb Raider games. I know that people really love those games, but I don't really care for them.
Of course, the iconic thing that everybody had to do when you're doing the first part of the original Tomb Raider is you have to lock the butler in the fridge.
Yeah, exactly.
Bushido Blade.
Oh,
yeah.
bro, Bushido Blade was the shit.
Tekken 3.
I was never a big Tekken fan.
I think they're alright. I
was-
mean, it's no Street Fighter, but I
Yeah.
dig them. Street Fighter Alpha 3 came out on the
bro.
PlayStation 1.
Wow.
Let's
Like
see.
they said, Mortal Kombat 3 was debuted on PlayStation 1, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
For someone who needs no introduction at all, Crash Bandicoot was basically the Mario of PlayStation, and had some of the greatest fucking the greatest advertisement campaign ever for a fucking
It
video
really
game.
did.
Ever.
Did you see this?
Come here, little plumber boy.
Yeah, outside of Nintendo of America. Fucking brilliant. Who thought of that shit?
Yeah.
Fucking amazing. Oddworld, Abe's...
Oh god, that was such a good game.
Yeah,
I
I
love
know.
Oddworld.
I know. I've never played them, but I know people really love them.
I downloaded it. I think when it was a free game, maybe.
The new and tasty version of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Dude, I love Abe's Odyssey. That one, Rayman. Do you guys remember
you know what?
Rayman?
You know,
I was just about to talk Rayman.
I
yeah.
remember Abe's Odyssey and Earthworm.
There's Abe's
Earthworm
Jim.
Jim.
Earthworm Jim. Those two were my fucking jam, dude.
Yeah, Rayman made his Rayman made his debut on PlayStation, which is really cool.
Everybody loves Rayman.
Spyro,
Yep.
I didn't much care for them, but they're
Yeah.
great. They're great games. Let's see. Ape Escape.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Ape Escape was the first one to use the joysticks.
Yep. Let's see here. Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo. I never played that. Gran Turismo. We already talked about that. Wipeout. We talked about that. Crash Team Racing. It's
Yep.
fucking huge. That was PlayStation's answer to Mario Kart.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about Ridge Racer.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Cool Borders.
Yeah,
Oh.
Borders was a good one.
Parappa the Rapper,
Oh, bro,
yeah,
Parappa
dude.
the Rapper.
which I've heard you talk about on several times.
Yeah.
That
Was-
inspired
was,
you to become a rapper. Parappa the Rapper.
No.
Was Jet Set Radio a PlayStation?
No, it was an Xbox.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Jet Set Radio was Xbox. It came out on the PlayStation.
Chrono Cross.
Oh.
This really fucking weird sequel, kind of, to Chrono Trigger, which I thought was really rad. Xenogears, which is a fucking amazing
Xenogears are
JRPG. Vagrant Story, which was another one. Let's see. Suikoden 2 came out on there.
Wild Arms.
Wild Arms. God, yeah. Fucking Wild Arms.
Yeah. That's actually on the classic Wild Arms 3.
Yeah. Legend of Dragoon.
Oh.
Dude, the PlayStation 1 was a fucking
Legend of
JRPG
Dragoon
machine.
was fantastic.
Parasite Eve.
Oh, yeah, dude. Parasite.
Dino Crisis.
Dino Crisis.
Medal of Honor made its
Oh,
debut.
yeah, dude. I loved Medal of Honor.
Of course, we have to talk about fucking Tony Hawk, Pro Skater.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Final Fantasy Tactics, which is fucking great.
God.
Resident Evil
Yeah.
made its debut on the PlayStation.
The GOAT.
It did.
Silent Hill made its debut on the PlayStation.
Dude, I could never, I don't know what it was. I don't know whether it was
Whoa.
what?
Smallville's Lex Luthor will be on Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Oh, wow, dude.
Yeah.
Michael Rosenbaum.
Michael Rosenbaum is going to be on Crisis on Infinite
Okay.
Earths. And he is the fucking shit, dude.
He's the best Lex Luthor.
He is an amazing Lex Luthor, and he's just one of my favorite people.
I wonder if they'll get Tom Welling, dude.
Oh my god, dude, that would be so cool. Sorry.
No. And then obviously, Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy was fucking huge on the PlayStation.
It really
How
was.
final is it?
Not
Because-
very.
No, there's a lot of them.
There's a pretty cool story behind the name Final Fantasy and why they did that. Basically, Square was kind of hemorrhaging money, and they didn't really know what to do. They made a bunch of games that didn't really sell all that well, but they kind of were put up against the wall and was like, hey, if you don't come out with some shit that's fucking really, really good, we're gonna shut you down. And so Hironobu Sakaguchi was like, okay, this is our final attempt. So it's the Final Fantasy.
That's
Basically.
cool.
That's the
Nice.
fucking
Yeah.
cliff notes of it. But yeah,
Right.
it's those games are masterful. As much as I like to shit on 8, it's still a fucking a fantastic game. 7, 8, and 9 are wonderful video games.
Have you seen that meme where
Especially
it's,
9.
what's the girl's name in 8? Renoa?
Renoa.
Where she's talking to Squall and she's like, "You're the best looking guy at this party," and it's just a zoomed up at this polygonal face. It's just
yeah. Yeah, those. I mean, obviously, I've spoken to great lengths about my love for Final Fantasy VII, but it's
I have a lot of love for this console. This console not only shaped the industry that we have right now, but a lot of memories were made on this thing, and I love it. I love it a lot.
And then, before we end here, I just wanted to, not only this episode, but all the other ones, just kind of dedicate these to, because we're all in a group on Facebook called Utah Gamers, and one of the founding members of the group recently passed away. I believe it was due to depression, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't really know her, but...
she lived in Hiram, didn't she?
I don't know, actually.
She's buried in Hiram.
Tawny?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it just, it sucks because everyone, games are what you use to escape, and when, you can't escape that even with gaming, this kind of sucks. And her name actually came up on my people you might know on my PlayStation, and I was like, oh, fuck. But
yeah, dude, I was reading the comments when they announced her passing, and, like, the one that got to me the most was one of the guys there. He was like, well, that's just one more person that's not logging into Destiny permanently anymore. And I'm just like, oh.
Yeah, because there's all those memes where it's like, hey, we'll see you online tomorrow, and then just gone.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh shit, that actually happened. But especially since we're doing PlayStation episodes, I'd like to shout that out to her, aka her gamer tag, Pirate Ninja Babe. So our condolences to her and her family.
Absolutely.
Yeah. She was, from the post that I always saw of her, she was always so upbeat and cool, and she was just, I didn't know her personally.
Yeah,
but
me neither.
But from her post, she was always so positive and always so, like, uplifting towards anybody. I was reading, like I said, I was reading the comments when they announced of her passing, and there were people there that were like, she was the first one that actually made me feel welcome to the group. She was always so positive with me. Like, she helped me through some of my worst. Like, she was just a stand-up person. And it always sucks when it's those kind of people that, lose their battles with depression. So
yeah, for sure.
Well, that concludes our episode for the first PlayStation. Join us next week for PlayStation 2. As always, you can follow us on social media.
On Facebook at the Nerd Corporation, a podcast.
On Twitter and Instagram at Nerdcore Podcast.
Or you can shoot us an email at nerdcorepodcast@gmail.com, and you can suggest episodes, or you can do that on our Facebook, however you want to do it.
Yep. And if you want to go down memory lane with us, subscribe to our Patreon, patreon.com/Nerdcore Podcast. Several tiers of loot to have access to, from stickers and shirts to secret episodes and bonus content.
Please.
Also, if you would like to donate and can't make a monthly commitment, you can go to paypal.com/Nerdcore Podcast. Any donation will help. We are always trying to get the best merch for you, the best equipment that we can to record for you. So we would definitely appreciate any donation you can give. So for the Nerd Corporation, my name is Eddie Lyon.
I'm Cole Simper.
I'm Nick Lewis.
And I'm Derek Reese.
I'm a goddamn dog!
God.